Robin Arbiter. I am the president of the Lierman Neighborhood Action Committee. Wow, it was just a few months ago we were just an advisory committee, but now we're an action committee. Yay! And our very first action was to build this garden. So that's why we're here today, and here to welcome us to today's festivities is Mayor Laura Lantepressing of the City of Urbana.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin. There's nothing more fun or rewarding than working with your friends and seeing the good results of that effort. And Urbana is a small city, and we're happy to participate in helping a neighborhood any way that you would like. Once I had a group come to me, an arts group, and they said, you know, the city's never helped us. And I said, well, have you ever asked? And they said, no. So I said, well, what would you like? And we can't give you everything you ask for, obviously, but the city has helped by purchasing this land and then leasing it to you for $1 a year.
Yes.
Pretty good deal. But so this is just absolutely wonderful. I just got back from the Democratic Convention in Charlotte, North Carolina, and listened to many good speeches, including the First Lady, who may be the first Lady to have a garden at the White House in many a year. Doesn't mean that they haven't had one before, but she's been a big person to push activity. And we have council members in Urbana. I have to mention them, Dennis Roberts and Diane Marlin, who have really pushed this. And we have our wonderful police chief, Pat Connolly. You know, you want to have a safe neighborhood, and the Urbana police are willing to be there and talk to people and find out what the problems are and how to solve them. And we do have our former mayor, Todd Satterthwaite. It's right here. So this is a wonderful project. And I will turn it over to Diane Marlin, Urbana City Council member. My Urbana City Council member, actually.
Thank you, Mayor.
Diane, do we have the ribbon up? Is the ribbon up?
The ribbon person's not here yet, so I don't think so. So keep an eye out for giant scissors. Thank you. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Let's Move initiative, which is just thrilled to see this garden develop on this area. In 2010, First Lady Michelle Obama, launched the Let's Move campaign. She asked city and county leaders to help solve the problem of childhood obesity within a generation. The Let's Move initiative focuses on 4 key areas. The first is helping families and child care providers to make healthier choices for the children in their care. The second one is to improve the quality of food served in schools. The third key area is to integrate more physical activity into everyday life. And the fourth is making healthy food more affordable and accessible to all. Earlier this year, the city of Urbana joined hundreds of other Let's Move communities across the country in this campaign. We've worked with local organizations such as the Champaign-Urbana Public Health District, the Urbana Park District, and the Lierman Neighborhood Action Committee to promote healthy eating and active living. This Lierman Neighborhood Community Garden is now a cornerstone of the Let's Move campaign. It reflects the community's commitment to improving the health and wellness of residents. The garden is already thriving. It's just amazing what 10 inches of rain can do in a month. And furthermore, it can serve as a platform for future activities, for education and training, and for programming. That's the kind of sustainable, long-term effort that the Let's Move campaign envisioned, and we're very happy to participate. And equally important is the fact that this garden depends upon the strengths and resources of the people who live right here in the neighborhood. In the course of this project, we've discovered a wealth of knowledge and experience and concern. And we've also discovered many friends we hadn't met until we started on this. Thank you, Gilbert. Not only are delicious vegetables now growing on what used to be an empty lot, but I think a stronger and more resilient community is taking root. So congratulations to everyone who had the vision and the energy and the absolutely unbelievable persistence in making this happen. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to call Clyde Walker. Clyde is our Lierman Neighborhood Action Committee's vice president. He is one of the most thoughtful people I know, and he's a long-term resident on this block.
So soon.
Oh, and he's not talking about the history of the garden, as promised in the program. He's actually just going to share some reflections about the garden's meaning on the block.
Thanks, Robin. I'm a fairly long-term resident of the neighborhood. I became involved with LNAC roughly a year ago, or there. I, as a long-term resident of some of the units in that direction, I've been able to recognize a contrast between what's happening here now and what has happened over the last several years that I've been here. It seems to be a kind of toxic social environment that seemed to accompany the decay of some of the housing in the area, along with some of the illegal drug trade and whatnot. But now that we're at the point of seeing the sun set on a lot of that activity, due to some of the interventions involving some of the community members, some local government and agencies, and law enforcement, actually. It's nice to finally see, the dawn of some hopeful sign of, a wholesome type of social, interaction and development in this area. I'm really geeked about this garden because it sets the stage for the ability to transform this neighborhood, especially for the young people, because we have a chance now to teach them not only the value of nutrition and give them access to nutrition, whereas in other circumstances they may have the quick access to fast foods or junk foods and not really learn the value of nutrition and what impact it might have on your life in the short and long term. I myself am a product of wholesome eating in terms of vegetables, and that's one of the reasons this garden really excites me. I had a condition several years back, when I was about 26, and this was like in the early mid 80s. You do the math. I know I don't look like I go back that far, but partially why it doesn't appear that way is because I've based my life on living wholesomely in terms of what I decide to put in my mouth. This garden represents organic and wholesome, nutritional choices, and I can't wait to start trying to help guide some of the youngsters in this area in terms of the values of wholesome eating as well as living, and avoiding some of the traps of what has gone on in this area for a number of years. And oh my goodness, I was Peter. I can't get over how much a lot of people put a lot into this project, but for some reason Peter comes to the forefront of my mind in terms of helping to get this project set up and ready and designed. And so give a hand to Peter because he did a lot of the hands-on work out here. And well, I don't have a whole lot else to say, but I'm really encouraged by this project, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. Very nice. Okay, so how are we doing on a ribbon? Okay, all right. Well, before we do the really exciting thing and slice the ribbon, we're going to do some acknowledgments. As Clyde was indicating, it was about time to start thanking some people. Dennis, you want to help me with these acknowledgments? Why Dennis and I are working together on this particular part is that really LNAC grew out of some meetings that Dennis called 3 years ago, and LNAC took life sort of after a series of 3 community meetings, which actually I believe Mayor Pressing was also at, and also Pat Conley. And so we've been working steadily on growing LNAC. This is one of our first major programs, but we've had 7, as I said, successful cleanup days in addition. We have a list. This garden didn't just pop into place in a day even, or a month or anything. It's been since November that we announced publicly that we would have a garden here within 6 months, and actually it took us 9. So I think it involved 100 people and close to 100 meetings probably. But Dennis is going to give credit to, oh, you got it, good. Dennis is going to give credit to those who need to be thanked. And then we've got some special thank yous after that as well.
Great. Well, it's great to see so many people here. Really, I remember a day, I think it was in February, when we were walking behind some of these now condemned buildings and trying to figure out, that lot behind that fence, what's the possibility of, trying to turn that into something positive and make maybe a garden or something out of it. And right away, the LNAC group, the Lierman Neighborhood Action Committee, specified or dreamed up, really, 3 goals. And we looked at them and said, well, which is the most attainable, So here are the goals. First, to create a community garden. We thought that was probably the easiest thing to do. And, of course, we didn't know where we were going to do it. The second one was, let's put in some recreational, educational facilities here in the community. Recreational, boy, this neighborhood sure needs a basketball hoop for, community fun and meeting space that's positive. It really does. And then the last goal was bigger, a community activity center, somewhere right here in this neighborhood, not 2 miles away, but right here on this property somewhere. So okay, so far we got 1/3 of the way. You never know. And what we realized is that it seemed illogical, or like really, could you achieve such a thing? And we found out that we can. And I just want to say, if I'm straying here, that when we were doing our cleanup days, a lady whose children were playing across the field, she came over and said, I can't believe you're cleaning up this neighborhood. She said, I want to make a donation. And then we found that, we continued on with that, and we had the idea of the garden, and Peter Norman and his architectural friends at the university, approached us and said, well, geez, if you guys want to do a garden, we sure would like to design it and get credit for it too. So that was a win-win. And then while we're working on the garden and putting, trying to imagine that and doing, again, a cleanup day, Paul Taylor comes by and he says, I run past the site all the time, doing exercises. He says, I'd like to make your garden, this activity, the goal, the purpose of my this year's community outreach program for my business. Incredible support. So you don't know, when you start something, it blossoms. So I want to continue to plant the seeds and make things blossom. So now I'm going to start acknowledging people. All right, from the city of Urbana, first, Mayor Laurel Pressing. Thank you so much for allowing this to happen. And well, I want to thank also to Councilperson Diane Marlin, who, seeing the value of it, soon became a partner in the process. And from the community development, without their approvals, without their willing to bend and coordinate with us, and we nag them, and then they say, yeah, okay, we can do that. This goes from acquiring the property on a week's notice to being willing to install a water spigot for our use to make the water available to the garden. Because, hey, hard to have a garden without some water. So Public Works and Community Development, Libby Tyler, Robert Myers helped us in planning and in preparing the area. Connie Eldridge and Sukia Robinson are all helpful to us. From Public Works, Bill Gray, Mike Prunk, and Bruce Coverly, tremendous help to us. We really appreciate your efforts in helping get this thing together. And the Landscape Recycling Center, which is part of that department, Kevin Saunderson. We were able to get 5 truckloads of really good topsoil or compost soil delivered here on the site for the garden. Without that, these bins would not be filled. Okay, the Urbana Police Department, Chief Pat Conley, you're here in the audience, thank you so much, and Lieutenant Bob Fitzgerald, and really the whole beat that comes through here on a regular basis. And they used to park right here on this lot and do their paperwork. Well, they got to be careful now. And the Urbana Fire Department, Division Chief Phil Edwards. Fireman Phil. Thank you. All right, now, do you want to do ESS claim? Okay, all right. This is very, very special. Paul Taylor, who's the president of ESS Clean, which is a cleaning business whose offices are on University Avenue East, became a major contributor and supporter for our energies. And he supplied not only some personnel, volunteers from his company that he encouraged to meet with us, it was a week ago? Just a week ago, I can't believe it, to help do the build out, the assembly of the boxes for the raised beds. They provided a lunch for everybody who volunteered. And during the summer, we had to take apart about 120 pallets. Not only did they go out and get the pallets for us, but they provided us a space with shade to take them apart and the tools to do it with. So this is an incredible physical, spiritual, monetary assistance to this community. And we're greatly indebted to you for that love and sponsorship. Raise your hand, Paul. Let everybody knows who you are. And his family, and also his sister Sarah too, and his brother-in-law. That's right, who came over here, and he had quite a big truck, one of the biggest black trucks I've seen, and he emptied out a lot of equipment for us on the day of the build out. All right, and all the employees who volunteered, also from your company, we appreciate it so much. The garden design team, without whose original creative thought, this garden would not look as handsome and beautiful and, I would say, in the future award-winning as it does. And so first, let's thank Walter H. Lewis, who is a professor emeritus from the School of Architecture. He saw the value of helping this project, and he came to one of our early meetings, and he found that he was amazed that there was 13 people around the table who were ready to do something wonderful in the community, and he supported it completely. But really, the person who organized so much of this, Peter Normand. Peter, master designer, coordinator with students that he sought out in the department, who, by working with us, achieved some of their goals academically. And that would be Jessica DeWitt, Baha Javedi, and Amy Allen. So these kids really helped a lot. All right. Now I'm going to mention the Champaign-Urbana Public Health District. Julie Pride, the director. Nikki Hiller, Division of Wellness and Health Promotion, and Sharon Feltes, intern. These people really supported the garden concept and growing vegetables and sustainable natural foods. Anything else about that?
Do you want to do the whole list?
No, you do it. Is you ready?
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. from the Urbana Park District, who must be thanked because they were really great consultants for us in planning the garden and some of our future plans. Vicki Mays, the director, and Corky Emberson, the superintendent of recreation. They were really wonderful, gave us a lot of their time and expertise. We also want to thank some friends and neighbors who have just, through the 10-month process, been spectacular. Nancy and Jerry Barrett from AMBET's 2 Neighborhood Watch, the Easy Street Neighborhood Watch, James Winston at Service Barbershop, really an inspiration and a great networker. Alka Patel, Jitu Patel, and Mitesh Patel from the Phillips 66 gave us something so profound, water, when we didn't have it on the site. So an incredible gift, and we're grateful to them. Jerry Hess from the neighborhood, who's on his way to being a garden coordinator along with Lizzie and Tommy. Jessica Reed, who is giving us power today. Janice Mitchell from Neighborhood Connections. Jave Wright from Lead for Life. Janice Gravelin, who fed volunteers over the summer. First Federal of Champaign-Urbana, who gave us 40 tomato plants. In addition, we have to thank the Living Hope Foursquare Church, Pastor Rogers and members, for making us welcome for the Youth Group Summit held earlier in the spring, and just generally being a resource. Stone Creek Church, especially the Inspire Urbana program, Pastor Gary Grogan, College and Youth Pastor Terry Austria, and your wonderful youth. Just wonderful what you were able to do this summer for our community, and we thank you. A big thank you to McKinley Church and Foundation, Associate Pastor Keith Harris, Executive Director Heidi Weatherford, Lara Hebert, Catherine Courtney, and the McKinley Youth Group. In the middle of the heat wave, the youth group was out and working, and Nancy was out and working, and Heidi was out and working. Just really, guys were amazingly supportive over the summer, and Nancy has just been a tower of strength for us and a resource. And she brings her husband everywhere, so he has to. So that's been awesome. And we also want to thank the Old Landmark Church of God in Christ, Pastor Albert Lee. What an inspiration. He walks the streets with us, he talks with us, and he offers comfort and hope, and we really appreciate that gift. Green Street Realty, Chris Saunders, Beth Laughlin, and Kathy Hamilton. You know, they manage every single property on the block. So we're happy to be working with someone who's local, thank you, and cares about, the relationship. I want to make a mention of the Scarecrow, who is actually designed in the image of Jerry Hess, who requested that Coco and I organize a statue in his honor. And we told him, we're going to do what we can afford. So if you look, there's a little patch that has Jerry's name on it, on the Scarecrow, and we're hoping that when he gets back in a month, he enjoys it. And that was put together, it was designed by Coco and myself, and it was put together by Casey Sutton and Beth Kane in the neighborhood. I also want to point out, although they're going to get some mention a little bit, Coco, would you raise your hand? This is Lizzie Taylor. Yay! Lizzie Carter. Lizzie Carter. And Tommy Askins, raise your hand. Tommy. These are our 2 garden coordinators. These guys were people in the neighborhood waiting for more space. Okay, they were gardening all around their apartments, and they just needed more space to branch out. So I've been telling them for 6 months, no, it's coming. No, really, it's coming. No, we're going to get water. No, really, we're going to get water. So finally it all came together, and they're just amazing. And if you have any questions, and also, don't step foot in the garden or pick anything without talking to them. Yeah, that's the rules around here. All right, so we have some special gifts that we're going to do, and then we're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony featuring our garden coordinators and another special volunteer I need to mention beforehand. Our special volunteer is Lenasia Carter. This young woman has come to all 7 of our 7 cleanup days. Lenasia! Now, Lenasia, I believe you're 11 now, or 12? You're fitting to turn 12, okay. She's 11 point something, and she's been coming on her own just because her heart is there to our cleanup days for 3 years. That means since she's 8, folks. If she can do it, so can all of us. So she's an inspiration. And then also I want to point out before we do this other bit of thank you, I want to point out the amazing sign. We said that we're going to have an unveiling, but there it is, unveiled. This is thanks to Dennis, an amazing graphic artist who really understood what was needed. So take a moment to appreciate the sign and thank Dennis. All right, we have some special gifts. So will you hold this for a second?
I will hold that for you. Special gifts.
And they're not special for Brassel.
Hiding in a common small bag. Okay, I'm going to hold them? Okay.
You hold that.
Well,
Okay.
oh, good. They're marked so we know who gets what.
I'm good like that.
See, we're organized in all the details.
Oh, except for this one.
Okay. It's become a... So really, I mean, these are just token gifts of appreciation. People have spent long hours in the heat and the sweating it out in the sunshine, assembling, disassembling pallets and reassembling boxes, planting, and carrying by bucket waters to make the plants grow. I think it seemed like we just could never get this garden off the ground, but I think it was the timing was super terrestrial or something, because 2 days after we got the tomatoes in, which were languishing in my backyard for 3.5 months, it rained just so incredibly long, and it just nurtured them. And instead of losing them all, they all are growing. So I mean, we're pretty happy about that. The timing is actually the necessary timing.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to do this all at once, and you guys can prize these apart. Mayor Pressing, we would like to thank you and Robert Myers and Libby Tyler for your amazing support of our project. And so what we're giving you here are small vials of what I'm calling Urbana's Gold, and that's that compost over there. So something to, so something to remember us by. I know you're not, because we're not going to let you. Okay. Sorry, the little strings got tangled. All right. Is Jessica DeWitt here? She may not be.
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Dennis Roberts, we have something for you.
There's some other person.
Robert, yeah. Dennis, this is for you. These are tiny matchboxes with things that hark to a person's project or life. And Dennis, there's all the 4 places I know he's lived before here are represented on the box, and then inside there's more of Urbana's Gold. So.
Whoa, diorama.
All right. Paul Taylor, sorry. I know these people, I swear I do. Sorry, Paul. We have 2 things for you, both the diorama gift in a matchbox and this fine micro planter.
Ooh, wow.
It was the first planter that our design team built, and we thought, what can we give the guy who has everything? Another thing to plant something in.
That's right.
So. Thank you. Oops, I just dropped one. All right, we do have to thank Peter Norman. Peter, come here and be embarrassed. You're so extraordinary, because not only do you have this amazing technical skill and knowledge and dedication and principle, but you have the best people skills and just the ability to keep some perspective and help all around you keep it too. So thank you very, very much. And Diane Marlin. Thank you. You have been so extraordinary to work with. I feel like from the time you started coming to our meetings, they both got more professional and more fun. So thank you.
That's my job.
You're welcome. And Amy Allen, is she in the? Should be here. Okay. And then we're about to stop talking, and we have this one more gift. So does everyone know what chutzpah is? And it's like a Hebrew thing. It means like. Well, I can't really say it on the mic, but I'll just say that I'm making an example of it right now, because there was a volunteer family who came to the build day, and they meant to stop by for an hour, and they stayed for 7 hours. And later that day, this volunteer was talking on Facebook about her experiences. And she said, oh, it was great. I met these great people. I had a wonderful time, la, la, la. And then a few hours after that, she posted, is anyone available to come to my house, cook me dinner, clean up afterwards, and go home? So I thought, you know, she deserves that. So Lizzie and I cooked you dinner. And then I called you this morning and asked if you had a cooler I could borrow. So we have here a fine cobbler by Lizzie, some maybe not so fine but perfectly adequate lasagna by me, and a salad. So you guys can go home, somebody's made your dinner, and there's no cleaning up afterwards. Because really, Nancy, you've just been wonderful from start to finish. You've given us so much, even like the cooler this morning, and the extension cord, and the Gorilla Glue. So, you know, you're keeping us together, and we thank you. All right. Go ahead.
All right. And I'd like to be sure to acknowledge Robin Arbiter and her dedication by giving, if I can get this out of my back pocket now, a golden trowel.
All right, can we do? Oh, we have to thank one other person who's taking photos right there, Gabe. We don't have a special gift, but I have to say, like, Gabe was one of the founding members of LNAC. He's a long-term resident here, and he's just the most positive, optimistic, occasionally wry and ironic commentator on what happens here, and he's just been fabulous. He's also the secretary of the Lierman Neighborhood Action Committee. So thank you, Gabe.
And because we're even better at giving gifts than we are at gardening, it just keeps on going. I do want to mention one more person to thank, and that's the Urbana Business Association and Director Cynthia Johnston, and she's brought something very special for us to formally open this garden in just a few minutes. So thank you very much. And there are one other thing I wanted to say, and there are three people, there are many, many people who made this garden and project a success, but there are three who just drove this into the ground, literally. And that would be Robin Arbiter and Paul Taylor and Peter Normand. So you may have noticed at the build day I was running around taking thousands of photos, and I wanted to put together a photo album of the build day. So there's one for Peter.
Thank you.
And Paul, would you like to come? So this is just an appreciation from all of us for everything you've done. And Robin, here's one for you. And I've also included a pair of low-key earrings, since you're a very subtle person. So these are special custom-made Lego earrings, and I think the kids in the neighborhood will get a kick out of them. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'd like to thank all of you for coming out. I guess one thing I'd like to say is, this garden is built off of one word, and that's yes. We kept saying yes, we're going to have the garden. We didn't take no for an answer. It was always yes. And so this was one example of a group of maybe about 5 or 6 people meeting and finding false starts. But we kept saying, oh, yeah, we can do it. No problem. We'll just keep going. Oh, 140 pallets. Yeah, we can do that. And so just think of that. When we cut the ribbon, let's all just say yes when that ribbon gets cut, because that's going to be the word that this garden was built on, and it should be the word that this garden's opened with. Thank you.